Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast, where every month we deep dive into a different aspect of cinemas, directors, actors, genres, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month we're talking about David Lynch, and this week we're talking about
Mulholland Drive.
And to talk about Mulholland Drive, we have a guest on today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Thomas Edward. Good friend of you guys. I've been looking forward to this for
A while.
Especially this one. When you told me you guys were doing a Lynch month, I'm like, I feel like, considering my ripe old age and the fact that I saw it opening night in Westwood.
Wow.
I'm like, I was a baby. I was 19 at the time. But no, and this is one of my all-time favorites. It's definitely in my top 5, depending on, it's for sure in my top 10, absolutely. So, and I have so much to say too.
Well, I mean, Mulholland Drive is it is like the Lynch movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty like definitive. It's like this and Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
but Miss Boo, Becky, over there.
Yes.
This is your first time seeing Mulholland Drive.
It is my first time seeing this movie.
I didn't know that.
Haven't seen it before. Haven't seen too many Lynch movies before. So that's what this month kind of is a 101 for me.
I kind of envy you. Like, anytime someone says, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen this," I always get excited. I'm like, "Oh, that means I get to show that," or because I like watching people watch movies that I love. So seeing their reaction, like I know you guys had Dylan Ellison here on more than one occasion. I showed him Mulholland Drive for the first time at his studio, and he loved it, and I feel proud that I did that. So
opposite of Dean, where he shames you if you've never seen a movie before. What do you mean you've never seen this movie?
How have you never seen this weird movie from the 30s? What is wrong with you?
I get excited because then it's an opportunity to watch someone experience something for the first time. So, I mean, I'm curious. I know we're getting started, but just in general, what did you think?
I mean, I was, captivated by it. I was like, okay, it's got my attention. I did a little bit of research before, so I was like, oh, cool. It's a spin-off from Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks. And then, it's a David Lynch movie, so I was pissed off in the end. Once we got to the ending, I was like, wow, thank you, David.
Well, once it gets weird, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, not even the weirdness, just, okay, that's how it ends, done. And I'm like, no, I had to sit up and read, what does it mean? And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm still pissed off.
Well, because I believe the only other Lynch movie you've seen is Eraserhead, which was like our third movie.
Yes, our third movie on the podcast.
Yes.
My first David Lynch movie.
Nice. I was like, oh, you're going to let me pick the movie we watch? If you can do Eraserhead, you could do anything.
Yeah.
Different than Eraserhead?
Oh, yeah. Leaps and bounds different.
Because this is probably my third or fourth time watching Mulholland Drive in its entirety, and I think it gets better every watch.
Yes, I agree.
It's one of those movies where, like, every time you watch it, you notice something more. The themes get a little bit better. I saw you make that face. All right. So what is the?
I wrote notes, and I'm not a big note guy.
Same.
but I did.
What rewatches this for you? Because you saw this in the theater, right?
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. I don't know how many times I've seen this. Especially like in my favorite movie list. Like, I just rewatch those all the time, and I just analyze them. Like, and this is one of them. So dozens of times, and I feel like I'm still a little low on that. I've rewatched this, especially when it came out on DVD forever ago.
Yeah.
Because I had a similar reaction to you when I watched it for the first time. I left the theater like at 2 a.m. with my ex. I'm just like, I was amazed, but I was like, I have no idea what the hell I just watched.
Yeah.
So when it came out, and I bought the DVD also in Westwood at the, there was obviously a Tower Records there.
Yeah.
So I bought it there. I don't know how many times I rewatched it, but it took a while, and this was the internet existed, yada yada, but there wasn't any.
There were no video essays. There were no deep analyzed stuff.
I had to kind of tried to. I mean, it's Lynch, so you can't completely figure out a Lynch film, not entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I got it, and I still haven't looked up any explain the ending type thing. So I'm just assuming I got it right, and we could discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to look up anything, but I was just so mad. I'm like, I need to know, because it's a David Lynch movie, so it's not black and white. It's going to come at you, you know, in like invisible ink. It's going to be something completely off the wall, or it's written backwards. It's like, I need to know.
I mean, that's something we got to get into before we even get into the movie, is Lynch as a director, because his style, I am not sure if Lynch is a genius, a madman, a fool, because I have this idea that everything he's putting on screen, there's a purpose to it, but he has no idea what it is until he gets to the editing bay. Because I know with like Blue Velvet, there's like an hour of deleted scenes where he's like, well, this didn't really work out, so I just kind of winged it and found the movie in the editing bay.
It's me, Gordon Cole.
It's Gordon Cole.
So, in relation to that, excuse me.
You can take a drink real quick if you want.
No, that was my throat. In relation to that, I forgot, because, you know, he's big with Q&As. Like, he doesn't mind having, like, an audience there asking him questions. I don't know how. I mean, he had gray hair, so he was older. So this was some point in my guess was like late 2000s, early 2010s. Mm-hmm. Another Lynch fan, asked him about the significance of him always having his characters walk in or walk out from darkness. Mm-hmm. And he went in this mini tirade of, I think it means this and this. And Lynch's response, I'll never forget this. He said, I like seeing people walk out of the darkness.
And end of discussion.
That's all he said. Like, he just likes the way it, I mean, I'm assuming that all that means was he likes the way it looks. Mm-hmm. So I feel like sometimes some of his decisions are just, I like this. And I know he's also said he doesn't feel that films always need to make sense.
Thank you. This takes me back to the early days of the podcast where Dean would, drill me, but what does this movie mean? What does it mean? And I'm like, it's just, it could be a personal preference of the writer, the director. It could just be, I'm just making the movie because I want to make the movie. And Dean's like, no, it has to have an answer.
It started making more sense after I started looking at stuff like Sidney Lumet's book, Making Movies, right? Where he's explaining like, oh, there's these shots in Ron and Kurosawa movies. And he's like, they're so beautiful. And he asked Kurosawa, how'd you compose that? And he's like, if I was 3 inches to the left, you would see the Tokyo airport. 3 inches to the right, you would see the chemical plant, and it wouldn't work in the shot. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so yeah, I guess like a lot of this interpretation shit is directors are kind of just figuring this shit out on the day.
Yeah.
And Lynch is like the fucking master of this, because I don't know if have you seen Inland Empire?
Yes.
Okay, Boo, do you know Inland Empire?
Yes, you talk about it all the time.
Okay, that movie is the definition of fuck it, we'll figure it out in post.
Yeah.
Because that movie is so weird and labyrinthian, and it's like just these almost unrelated sequences, and it just kind of makes sense eventually.
But
yeah,
then you're like, oh, and one scene in particular, I'm sure we're thinking of the same one without giving anything away. When you think, oh, it's this, but then you're like, oh wait, no, I don't think that's what it was. But okay. I feel like, especially for Lynch, that's the whole point. Is it's up to us, and it's a personal thing. I mean, with some exceptions, I do feel like Mulholland Drive is kind of one of his most accessible films, as far as, I mean, with like exception of like Straight Story, something where it's
Elephant Man.
Yeah, Elephant Man. They're all amazing, but as far as when he gets Lynchian, I feel like Mulholland Drive is his most accessible, which is weird to say, because again, I feel like anyone who's seen it has a similar reaction of like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like the first 90 minutes was like this really interesting mystery. What the fuck was the last 30 minutes about?
Yeah. Just that flip. It was just like, what?
And it's a hard flip.
Yeah.
And then at the end especially, it gets harder.
Okay, I mean, those old people in the end terrified me.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have watched that
same.
in the dark.
Okay. I'm going to give everybody the basic back-of-the-box synopsis so they have a vague idea of what the fuck the movie's about, and then we'll get into, like, I guess, scene-by-scene beat that is just wild. But for those wondering what Mulholland Drive is about, it is about Betty, a small-town girl with stars in her eyes as she looks for her big break in Hollywood. But what she finds is a mysterious brunette with amnesia. Perfect setup to your mystery thriller. And fuck, where was I? All right. Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Mysterious brunette with amnesia that calls herself Rita. And as Betty and Rita try to unravel Rita's true identity, the wheels of the movie business turn as a hapless director is forced to cast an unknown woman in his film, and these stories intertwine until the pair of women find Club Silencio. Wait, I'm not saying it seductively enough. Silencio.
There you go.
And their Hollywood dream turns into a nightmare. And then it gets really fucking weird, and I ain't trying to parse that shit out, all right? When it starts getting into the weird, is this a dream or is she jerking off to, like, Ghost? I don't know how to write that. That gets weird.
I was just like, wow, the arms in the movie.
The arms?
The arm.
Oh, yeah. Very weird. Also, I like the Twin Peaks reference. I
Yes.
don't know that actor's name.
His name is, I have the cast, Michael J. Anderson.
I saw an interview with him when they were doing Twin Peaks, or I think they were doing an interview when they were asking about Twin Peaks, and he's like, oh, I walked in the editing room one day, and, you know, I'm curious what David was doing, and he looks in, and David's like, this shot right here, I think it means something. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure David Lynch is just figuring this shit out. I think his true genius as an auteur is the power to wing it like a god.
I was just thrown that he wasn't talking backwards.
That was very off-putting.
It was. It kind of scared me.
It was
I was like-
off-putting. He
I
was
was
talking
It's
normally.
scary that he was talking normally.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so used to he's talking backwards, and now he's talking normal.
But granted, this is a very Lynchian cast because we have like Balthazar Getty, who was in Lost Highway before this.
Angelo Badalamenti.
Mhm.
He's one of the Italian men. And he's also the composer for most of David Lynch's movies and Twin Peaks.
We also have Billy Ray Cyrus. You know,
He shows up.
That was, I think, the biggest, like, what the fuck
Yeah.
for me? Just like, Billy Ray? Achy breakies here?
Yeah.
Still breaking those hearts.
6 degrees between Miley Cyrus and David Lynch. Only need one. Only need
Yeah.
one. But yeah, so how would you even try and describe Mulholland Drive to somebody in a pitch, right? Because it is like this mystery noir thing, and then it gets really surreal, but like what's actually happening in the movie feels so
let me stop
disjointed.
You, there. You have a really good David Lynch impression, so I think you should give your elevator pitch of, Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Let's hear this.
Well, the whole point is we're going to find these 2 hot broads out on Mulholland Drive, and they're going to have some money. And then we're going to get really R-rated about halfway through, and then, we'll figure it out in post. Because I'm David fucking Lynch. I mean, that's my elevator pitch. Your thoughts?
It's probably not that far from reality. I mean, I feel like at that point in his career, the studios are like, just, go ahead. Like,
Do whatever you want.
yeah, for all we know, like, he gave him like a very, very basic, super basic synopsis, and they're like, that's not going to be what it is. But okay, Dave, just go ahead, do what you need to do.
And they're like, oh my God, that's what it is.
Yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his pitch was super simple, but it, as we know, wasn't so simple.
Mhm.
But then again, after years and years of trying to figure it out, again, I mean, outside of his Lynchian symbolisms that he throws in there, I feel like it's pretty straightforward, all things considered. And then once you figure out those clues, I feel anyway, it becomes even more obvious. Like, how did I not notice this the first time? At least for me.
I'm kind of in the same boat because you see it multiple times, you start picking out things. But I'm interested in Boo over here. Since this is your first time going, what did you get a sense about the movie? What did you think it was about, man?
I was just trying to hold on for the ride.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not like it's a really fast-paced movie. It moves, a little bit slower, so you're able to kind of absorb things. But it was just, it's Lynchian, so you're not really going to understand everything on the first go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm walking away from it that I would watch it again.
Oh shit!
That's good.
So
she
that's why
she
I'm
didn't
not
say
gonna,
this about Eraserhead.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm one and done on Eraserhead, but I would watch Mulholland Drive again. Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was cool but weird.
I mean, this is an interesting point. It is cool but weird. But Thomas, you mentioned, that how it's in kind of two parts and all this other stuff. Did you know like the original origin story for Mulholland Drive?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so originally it was supposed to be a pilot for a TV show. And it was supposed to be a spin-off of Twin Peaks. It was supposed to star Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks, who
Yes.
played Audrey Horne.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she couldn't do it, so they were like, oh, we're going to just have Naomi Watts, and we're going to like do a kind of a Twin Peaks-y new David Lynch spin-off.
Yeah.
And I think he finishes the pilot, whatever that 90-ish minute is, shows it to the studio, and they're like, yeah, we're not picking this up. And he's like, fuck it. So he just makes the rest of the movie and turns it into this feature. And like, I'm wondering, so did you feel that? Did you feel this is there like a real switch point in this where it goes from being a TV pilot to a feature?
See, for me, no. And this is one of the films that outside of like looking at like the behind the scenes footage of Lynch just working and on the on-set stuff, I never like looked into the making or the backstory of this. So this is surprising to me because I never felt that way. Because I guess for Lynch, like I never felt like I needed to look up anything because it's Lynch.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just take it for what it is. But no, that's surprising to hear. But thinking about it, it makes sense.
Yeah, I could totally see Audrey Horne going to Hollywood, trying to be an actress, getting involved in something crazy. I mean, we had her with Billy Zane in Twin Peaks, so
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive
absolutely.
for Audrey Horne is totally possible.
Yeah, and for me, it kind of makes sense because if you notice the first like half of the movie, there's no swearing, there's no nudity
No,
for like the first half, and then when tits show up, then it gets weird and surreal. When you get the out of nowhere lesbian lovemaking scene, which really weird.
I mean, I picked up that something was going on between the two of them.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, at the time, 19, I thought it was, it came out of nowhere. But especially rewatching it, because as you mentioned, every time, it's like upon every rewatch, you get a different reaction. For me, like last night, I had my biggest emotional reaction. I was tearing up at the end.
Wow.
Yeah. But a lot of that is, again, us putting our own personal experiences with film. So but yeah, now like you said, and I like that you kind of caught up and you're like, okay, well, I can kind of feel something between the two of them before essentially the lovemaking scene. So again, it makes more sense now, and also considering what essentially the majority of the the film is, it makes sense why it's feels a little abrupt, considering especially what is revealed in the last 30-ish minutes of the film. So, but again, I can understand the first couple of times seeing it, you could be like, where's this coming from?
Well, my thing was just Virgin Betty there in her pajamas, and then Chad Rita comes in. It's time for bed. Takes the towel off and just straight nude and just crawls in.
It is abrupt again.
And I'm like,
wait a minute, wait. Not even like a shirt,
no,
an oversized shirt or something.
I'm like,
It
there's
is
not even
abrupt.
underwear on. Just like,
Yeah.
She's like, just come to bed. It's fine. She's like, oh, okay.
Takes off the wig, takes off the towel.
Yeah, but I guess if you think about it, considering the mood of essentially the first two acts, like I feel like it's more of a 2-act story. Like you have Act 1, which is before we dive into it.
We're gonna dive into it right after this. Don't worry.
Yeah, and then the second act is when things take a turn.
Yeah.
I always felt that way. That is more of a 2-act structure. I mean, you can squeeze the first 2 and then 3, but I always felt like because they're 2 different stories. But yeah, it is abrupt. You're like, wait, like just that's it. Like it's kind of.
We go into full softcore here.
Yeah, just like it's very softcore pornish all of a sudden. But again, all things considered, it makes more sense. Again, I feel once like you figure out what's really going on.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot I was watching a David Lynch movie until we get to Silencia, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck. I'm like, this is a David Lynch
then
movie.
that's when it starts to
That's when
reveal itself.
That's when the full tonal switch happens.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, they found each other, and this is nice, and they're trying to solve a mystery, and I'm like, oh no, it's not going to be nice. So like,
No.
We're gonna get some weird shit in here.
No.
But let's dive into this a little bit, right? How do we want to approach this? Do we want to just go like from beginning to end and we just kind of rattle off, or do you want to throw out the theories first?
It's up to you.
It's your month.
Oh, it is my month. All right, so the movie opens with a very fun jitterbug montage. And there's some weird, some overexposed stuff. Yeah, this going by the book is kind of weird. So, yeah, Betty arrives in Hollywood, and
It's bright. It's beautiful. People are smiling.
she is, the again starstruck actress coming into Hollywood.
That's how I should have known that there was something wrong.
As small town girl, lonely world.
Mm-hmm.
Giant smile.
Oh, when she said she was Canadian, I'm like, that makes sense. She's very happy to be here. Yeah.
She's like, finally, Hollywood. And she's gonna stay at her Aunt something's house. And as this is happening, Aunt Irene, and there's a car crash on Mulholland Drive. Mysterious. Somebody's gonna kill Rita, but she survives and wanders from, the hills down into the valley. And
Which is gonna be a long hike.
I was gonna say that's one hell of a watching it, I'm like, oh wow, she has a head injury.
She just survived a crash.
She's in heels. I'm pretty sure. That's a tough walk.
I mean, considering Mulholland Drive, we pass it whenever we go to Universal Studios. So it's like you're up in the mountains, and then just I'm gonna walk all the way back to Sunset Boulevard. Like, really?
That is like. That is a outdoorsy kind of person's hike, right? But the opening of the movie, right, where it's these two separate stories, they come together once, Betty finds Rita chilling at the apartment, right? Because she just wanders into the first open door.
Well, I mean, she, finds her in the shower.
Yes.
She's not just like chilling in the apartment. Yeah. Oh, hey, yeah, I know Irene.
This is how I get a feeling that Betty is very naive.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
like,
you finished showering. It's okay.
She starts, what's your name? Like, I'm in the shower.
It's like, I'm literally naked. Please give me a moment. I'm naked. I can't talk right now. But this is like the opening of the movie, right? We get the two stories, small town girl coming into Hollywood, and this mysterious person of like status, right? Because Rita seems like wealthy or well off or
She's
something
in the back
like
of
that.
A limo.
Back of the limo. And she is now cast out of this high class status and just kind of wandering Hollywood. What sense are you getting out of the opening of the movie?
I remember seeing it for the first time and just feeling like, why is the acting it feels very soap opera-y and over the top. I'm like especially when she arrives at the airport. It's like, okay, like the dialogue, the delivery, like, okay, Irene, won't that be the day? Like,
it reminds me of The Room.
Yes, it's Room-ish. You're like, and now it just, again, when you watch it for the first time, the first few times, like, why is it so off? Especially the old couple they're in their limo, just that slap she did, that slap, or like, what is happening? Why are they? I mean, I have my theories on what I have a bunch of shit in here.
Just like, sir, start going off, man. This is why we brought you. You have the book here.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of those things where most of this is, I feel like, up to personal interpretation. I always felt like for me personally, the old couple symbolized false hopes and guilt, overwhelming guilt, especially the ending. But that's just me. I'm curious as to what the two of you think the old couple maybe symbolizes, if you have a theory, that is.
For the old couple, because my general interpretation of the movie is that it's this story of, like, if Sunset Boulevard, which this is very much like cribbing from and referencing to, Sunset Boulevard is about like has-beens. This movie is the story about have-nots. And I feel Betty is, this actress, and a lot of the story is her being like, oh, I could have been somebody if the mysterious power of Hollywood didn't work against me and all these other stuff. And the old couple, I kind of felt were her ego. Her ego is like, you can do this. And at the end, her ego is crashing down on her, being like, you could never do this. That's like the vibe I got. What about you?
I'm still terrified by them.
You're just like,
they're terrifying.
Yeah, it's like...
And they seem like just this nice older couple you would see at like a diner, but the weird smiles are just so off-putting.
Especially when they break into the apartment and they're just, chasing her to the bedroom as she's trying to fight them off.
It doesn't help how they get in there.
Yeah.
Where they crawl underneath the door jam.
Yeah, so it's like, I really haven't been able to figure out what they are. To me, it's just, I'm kind of traumatized by that scene.
This is why we bring you on. You get that real emotional reaction for these movies.
Scared the crap out of me, yeah. And I love old people. I was just like, no, don't do this to me.
Right off the bat, you're like, something's not right here.
And that's the thing. From beat one, it's weird. From the because I think the first image we get after the jitterbug contest is this floaty image with the camera, and it crashes into a pillow, right?
Yes.
And that's like, oh, this is going to be a dream, the Hollywood dream, the Hollywood this, or this is a dream.
I'm wondering, are they supposed to be like, Hollywood, like as a monster? It's like, it's inviting, it's warm, come in, and then it just eats you up.
Oh, that's...
Never thought of that. I like that.
That goes into, because I wrote this down. It's like the Hollywood have-nots, but it's also like this boulevard of broken dreams, like Hollywood is paved with the broken dreams of young actors and actresses who have come here. And like the old people as that symbolizing or symbolization. I speak English, I swear to God.
Because they're both very sweet to her when they're saying their goodbyes at the airport, and it's, I believe in you, and it's this kind of, this false hope of, come in, you could be a star, you could be anybody, and then it's like, nope, we're gonna chew you up and spit you out before you could even realize what's happening to you.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I like both of your interpretations. Like a combination of all three makes sense, a perfect sense. I guess if anything, we all kind of sort of said the same thing, just using different words, obviously. But just like, yeah, look, but Hollywood, as we do know, can be insanely brutal, especially once you get into the nitty gritty. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I mean, they still terrify me to this day.
I have a feeling if we were able to ask David Lynch, he'd probably be like, it just looked cool.
Yeah, it could have been something simple as that.
If you asked him, so what do the old people symbolize? What do you mean symbolize? They're creepy.
Yeah.
They're just creepy. I met them at a poker tournament. They're creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, because in talking about like Hollywood, that nature of it being kind of brutal, I think after this is where we get the first images of the director character played by Balthazar Getty, who Kushner? Is that the character's name?
Wait.
Do you mean Justin Theroux?
Justin Theroux.
Oh God,
yeah.
I'm talking about the wrong person. Yeah, Justin Theroux. What's his character's name?
Adam Kesher.
Adam Kesher.
Yeah.
That's when we first get him, and he's having this meeting with these Hollywood exec studio people and the mysterious nature of Hollywood, and that's when we're getting the man from another place speaking forwards, so it's even more creepy.
I love that character. It just this mysterious man that controls all of Hollywood.
And he's in one scene.
Yeah.
2 scenes.
2 scenes?
2 scenes.
2 scenes.
Yeah.
And this is like is this like people like David Lynch is like, oh, this is people's idea of what Hollywood is. It's all these backroom dealings where there's the mysterious forces of Hollywood working against you. But what is your vibe from this? Because we already start with like this mystery, right? Rita, Betty, who's this girl, and this is just another layer on top of that I feel is almost non-related.
I see. I think everything in the first act / 2 acts, everything is related to what happens at the end after things take that turn. I feel like all of this is just things not working in Adam's favor, considering what happens later. I feel like the only way for me to like talk about it is to tell you what I think essentially the entire film is, or both all of it, I guess.
We brought you on the podcast for a reason.
You
can do this. Yeah,
but I wasn't sure if you wanted
full fucking spoilers,
I
man.
wasn't sure if you. No, I mean,
this movie is 22 years old. This movie is old enough to drink.
Thank you for reminding me.
Just to give you the rubbins real quick. Go ahead. What do you think the movie's about?
I wasn't sure if you wanted to wait until like, oh, this is what I think it is. So, yes, it's a dream.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up. Hey, pretty girl, time to wake up. He literally says, wake up.
Yeah.
And everything after that are a series of flashbacks, for the most part, of everything that led her to having that dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
fully agree.
Yeah. And considering Adam, this director, very eccentric, well-respected director that has a lot of power already, takes the girl from her.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But was the girl really hers?
No, I think it was just a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of one-sided. But Diane, like I refer to them as two different characters. So Diane was madly in love with Camilla, but Camilla was like, it's purely a sexual thing.
I mean, we even get that in the Betty Rita part where they're playing their dream characters, where Betty's the one that's like, I love you, and Rita's like, cool.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just keep this this physical.
Even in her dreams, she still wasn't hers.
Yeah. So, but then that, and then the mystery woman, or I guess in the dream, the Camilla dream, the blonde, she shows up at that party. She gives her a kiss. Like this, it's just, I feel bad. I mean, Diane is already a little mentally unstable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost everyone in Hollywood is. Let's be honest. You have to be crazy to do that. No matter who you are, director, actor, you got to be crazy to do that.
It's fucking true.
You have to. You have to be a little crazy, and I respect that.
We're all a little crazy. We all go a little mad
crazy,
sometimes.
and it's fine. So.
Did you just throw a Psycho reference out?
Absolutely. Any day that I can, I will.
I respect that.
Thank you.
Strong Psycho reference.
But yeah, and just like imagine being at that party and I've been in not those exact circumstances where in the past when I was younger, you have feelings for someone else and they just don't feel the same way, but then you're just a witness to their shit.
And you feel your heart breaking.
You just like Naomi's performance. I mean, I fell in love with Naomi Watts the moment I left the theater. Like, just like, I never saw her in anything before this. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, holy shit, who is this?
Well, this was like her breakout
No,
role.
it was. So, but that scorn that she performs in that scene in particular later on at that party is insane. Like, I've felt that. Mm-hmm. Like, just, and I've seen the behind the scenes of her working with David. And just how David directs and how she was taking direction and how she was putting her own things on it just blew me. I mean, to this day, like I get chills thinking about it. Like literally, I just watched it less than 10 hours ago. So
the real like goosebumps moment of this movie is when she does the audition.
Yes, the audition's amazing.
Because that happens like right after this, right? Like it happens after it's like really early on in the movie, but yeah, they do the audition before she meets Kessler. Kusher.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
yes.
But that fucking audition scene, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, because it out of nowhere, like all that cheese in the dream is like gone during the audition. You're like,
because it's cute and funny when her and what's her name, Rita.
Rita, you were there.
When they're reading the scenes over together, and it's just they're laughing because
it's like dinner theater.
Yeah, it's very pulpy and cheesy, but when she gets into the studio, it's like a complete 180, and she is just I'm focused in, and I'm giving my Oscar-worthy performance.
Yeah, and I love the director is just like terrible.
Director gives the worst direction.
It's like, huh? Like don't like until it gets real. Like they're all like. Huh? Like what? All right.
I also love how like idealistic this audition is, where it's just like, oh yeah, so the director's going to be there, the producer's going to be there, you're going to have the real actor, you're going to be acting across. Oh, here's this other agent here who's just here for the love of the craft.
Yeah.
Like what?
Just like that's I don't think.
I've seen and done auditions where it's just like it is you in a white blank room with some other guy who just does not want to be there, who's just here to like listen to you.
Yeah.
Oh god. it's almost going into like her dream is like this is the dream scenario.
You're in his office, and it's just perfect. And then the other execs are like, we're going to take you to this other film because you were so amazing. Just like but yeah, just that change. You're like, wait, why is it all of a sudden like it went from cheesy to this? And it gets just the way the tone starts changing as the film progresses is insane. But you at first you miss it. At least I did the first time, with the exception of after she wakes up, pretty much. But so her scorn, I'm bouncing all over the place.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I want to
that.
talk about the cowboy in a minute.
No, that's like I was gonna say, like the cowboy scene is one of my favorite in the film. So so I again most of it's a dream. Again, like just the pillow, her first the point of view of the pillow, just like, oh, just going to sleep.
Yeah.
Then it's a dream.
It's like the first shot. It's like the first shot's the jitterbug contest, and that's the only like concrete like this is the same in both dream and like post dream sequence. But the first real shot is when she crashes into the pillow. I think that's if people think this isn't a dream, like you're missing a lot.
That's why I said like just like how did I not catch that she's laying down, and then hey pretty girl, time to wake up. Like if she wakes up, like oh she's up now. But then, I mean, it throws more loops at you. But again, like after she wakes up, after her, her neighbor barges in and she walks into the kitchen, and then she's like the angles change completely because she's envisioning herself. Essentially, Camilla survived and came back and she's like, you're like, wait, why wasn't she just there? Why is she standing there? It's just. I feel like a lot of us have visualized scenarios like that when we're going through something difficult, at least for me anyway.
Yeah. So,
I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, why did they... But it makes more and more sense, I feel, as time goes on. I feel like the more I've watched this and the older I've gotten, the more and more I relate to it. Because I'm one of those weirdos that remembers almost every dream I've ever had in my life. Going back to when I was a little kid. So, like, one of the films I want to make is just me trying to make nightmares I've had when I was a kid. So, don't know how the fuck I'm going to do that. But anyway, so just how the whole essentially, 3/4 of the film is a dream. I'm like, yeah, this feels like a fucking dream. And like very much so.
And it even goes into something interesting about it where it's just like it has this weird dream logic, like all the acting methodology changes from this point to the next point, or from like the first 2/3 to the last third. Like the acting changes, like it stops being that really stilted, it starts being a little bit more natural. But the other thing, I want to talk about this, the one that makes it the most dreamy and weird is the cowboy. Yeah. Because the cowboy scene, he's meeting Kushner on top of like this bumfuck mountain. I actually looked up where the fuck that is. It's literally like if there's like the Hollywood sign and that ranch is like above it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's literally cool. They're meeting at the top of Hollywood.
I mean, if we're going to talk about locations, I'm pretty sure where Adam, smashes up the car with the golf club, I'm pretty sure that's over by the last bookstore.
Oh, really?
As soon as that scene happens and he pulls up, I'm like, I've seen that, parking sign. I'm sure we've walked by that building to get to the last bookstore. And I was like, I'm trying to focus on the scene, but I'm like, oh my God, we've been there to go buy books and DVDs. This is awesome.
No, the best part is looking at it and you see the parking sign on the back, $1.75 an hour. And I'm like, I wish.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
That'd be nice.
Different times, my friends, different times. But that scene on top in the ranch where they're like, you have to go meet the cowboy. And he's like, who the fuck's the cowboy?
Like, this is a joke. It just...
And he fucking rocks out of the darkness, and as he rocks out, the lights all come on, and I'm like, oh, he's like, this guy's like the real power of Hollywood. And I'm wondering, because I think what he is representative of is he's, that power of Hollywood. He's fame, he's celebrity, right?
I mean, Hollywood was started with Westerns.
That's true. Yeah. He's literally wearing Gene Autry's clothes.
Is he?
I think so. I think that hat and everything like that, because the the actor who's portraying him, he's like just a producer friend of David Lynch's.
Yeah.
And he's a movie buff. So he's like, I own like Gene Autry's like cowboy hat. And he's like, oh, can you wear that? That sounds really cool. So he wore that during the thing. So that's like old school, original, like Hollywood star shit right there. But it's like, I think that's what he's talking to, the director. He's like,
he's talking to old Hollywood.
And
he's
love
like,
that,
I've chosen the star.
the light goes out, the cowboy's gone.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like you're looking for him. They're just focused in on the fence, like, well, where'd he go?
Where'd he go? Yeah.
That's probably my favorite scene, because he's also like, how about you really think about it?
Yeah.
Stop being a smart aleck.
You're too busy being a smart aleck to be thinking. No, I love that scene. And it's funny because, again, the whole dream association thing, we see him later on in the dinner flashback. He's just a guy in the background.
Just passes.
But that's all our brain needs to put someone in a dream and add all of this association to it.
Kind of reminded me of like The Doors, the Val Kilmer movie.
Yeah.
Where you have death just reappearing and showing up at different points in his life. And I was kind of like, well, that's kind of like
it's
a cowboy. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same thing, like my all-time favorite scene, jumping around, is the Winky scene in the beginning.
You mean Fake Denny's?
Okay.
Fake Denny's, yeah.
There's no fucking way. This was definitely like, we were gonna put it in the TV show for the pilot, and then fuck that storyline. That's what happened with this Winky scene, because it is these two guys. It's Eyebrows and Not Eyebrows sitting in a booth, and Eyebrows is telling Not Eyebrows, I had this weird dream last night where we were in this Winkies and you were there, and then I looked behind me and then you were over there and you were scared and there's somebody behind this thing, and he's like, well, let's go figure it out. And then it's the fucking dream he just explained. Cool scene, but this is not related to the fucking movie. This is not related to the narrative.
Oh, Dean's getting those crazy eyes.
Okay, here.
Let me get my tinfoil hat out.
Here, I think so. It's related. I think it's related in a distant way. It's just because we see him later on. When Diane is in the Winkies, the real one, and she's with the hitman, and she just sees that guy there at the front. That's all it takes. She glances at him, and he looks at her. So her brain put all that together. I mean, I do think symbolically it is related to reality. Just I hope that my nightmare doesn't come true, and it is.
I think we need to talk about the hitman scene, because I think that's one of the best scenes of the movie.
Oh, it's great.
It is top 5 funniest bits of the 2000 era films. It is pure. Chaplin and Keaton would kill for this kind of comedic timing.
It's great.
I think in context, like, for the dream, he's a hitman hired to kill Rita. In reality, Diane hired the hitman to kill Camilla. Is that the general gist of what's going on?
Yes.
And in the dream, he is an incompetent buffoon.
Yeah, and everything goes wrong, and even like
he shoots like 3 people on accident.
The bodies just keep piling up.
Yeah, the bodies keep piling up because he's terrible, and even in the beginning, like him, I guess his boss or whoever, his friend that has the black book that he wants to get, they're laughing off the fact that the hit failed.
Yeah,
like it's just a joke.
I mean, even the vacuum gets it.
Yeah, even the vacuum. Yeah,
lights the place on fire.
Yeah, just like, ugh. So it's just because I subconsciously that's how Diane wished things went down, because there is. I mean, she commits suicide at the end out of the overwhelming guilt of how everything turned out. But and that goes to what does the key open? Another
Pandora's box.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I love. I mean, it is hard to pick favorite scenes, but the hitman scene in there, and I love the little detail of when he kills his friend, that guy, how his hair, the hair with the blood at the end, that little detail, like.
Well, the hair like that, it looks like a holly bush with the little drop of blood on the ends of the hairs. Holly bush, Hollywood.
What?
You guys didn't see that?
You are really stretching this.
Well, also, you notice how the hitman's eyes, in this scene only, he has 2 different colored eyes. One brown, one blue. Right?
I did notice that.
No, I didn't notice that.
And I only noticed that this time. I never noticed that before.
Nod to David Bowie.
Could
Gentlemen.
be.
Gentlemen.
Could,
I mean,
maybe. I just like that we kind of get a Forrest Gump reference, because, you hear the screaming from the other room, and he goes to, take care of whoever, got hit by the stray bullet. And she's like, man, something bit me. And she's, she's trying to look at her butt. And I'm like, we got Forrest Gump.
Confirmed.
Something jumped up and bit me.
David
Lieutenant
Lynch.
Dan.
Confirmed. David Lynch loves Forrest Gump.
Well, I mean,
Confirmed.
This movie is a mixture of Wizard of Oz and Sunset Boulevard. So, yeah, I could see. Let's just throw in, some other references.
Why not?
This movie is really. David Lynch loves Sunset Boulevard. I think he's mentioned that very openly, right? This is almost like him being like, I'm going to try and do a modern Sunset Boulevard. Instead of the old glory days, it's going to be the young people who never made it. It's because he does the opening where it's pointing at the sign of Mulholland Drive. He's like, that's like cribbing straight from Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
When they go to the studio for the first time, there's literally the Sunset Boulevard car.
Yeah.
Well, the car, and it's also Paramount. So it's, same gate, same studio. Where we differ from Sunset, obviously this movie's in color, but it's just got that dreamy glow to the studio when she gets out of the limousine or the taxi and she's just looking at the gates. It's like, yeah, you want to be there. You want to go through those gates and experience movie making.
The magic of movie making.
The magic of Hollywood. Man, this movie's weird. It's weird and really good.
It's wonderfully weird.
But let me see what else we got here. Okay, so you're of the opinion the movie, it's dream top to bottom, right? She kills herself at the end. Now I've heard a theory, interpretation. I thought it was interesting.
It's not the Holly Bush again, is it? 'Cause
No.
that was really rough.
Well, look, I'm reaching here. Okay, so we have when Rita and Betty in the dream, they go to the apartment building, right? That they're like, I remember this good, Diana, right? And they knock on the door, but where Diana's apartment is supposed to be, it's another woman there, the brunette. What was her name?
Her neighbor?
Yeah, her neighbor.
I can't recall her name for the life of me. I don't think it's mentioned. I don't think a character says
her name.
I just referred to her as the neighbor.
Okay, the neighbor.
Well, I'm looking at IMDb, and there's someone similar that looks like the neighbor, and it says Camilla Rhodes, so that could be the real.
I'm not sure, but the neighbor.
The neighbor, yeah.
So I've heard this where they knock on the door, and it's the neighbor, right? And they're like, oh, I switched apartments with Diane. And then it's like this whole thing where the end of the movie, she's like getting her stuff from Diane and all this other stuff. And it's like, in the interpretation or the theory is that neighbor is the actual Diane, and that Betty is that idealized, or Diane in the real world is her idealized dreams of becoming a Hollywood actress, and that has to die for her to just live a normal life in Hollywood. And the subsequent dream of that is how her idealization has to die for her idealization to really die. It's one of those weird things where I saw this on one of those like psychology YouTube channels where I'm pretty sure the guy was stoned when he was giving it, but it was a convincing argument nonetheless.
That's kind of stoner-ish, a stoner-ish, speaking from experience, a stoner-ish theory. Like, whoa, what if? Like, just, I mean, I'm fine with that, but I feel like the dream thing makes more sense.
Yeah,
and,
a little. It's more obvious.
And these apartments also being the Snow White cottages in Los Angeles, so it's like it goes with more of that kind of dreamscape where it could have been perfect. It could have been our fairy tale, and then of course fairy tales always have tragedy in them, and she's not able to escape that.
It was a cool theory, I thought.
I mean, no, it is cool.
I don't believe in it. I just thought it was neato.
No, it is neat, but I feel like the dream makes more sense. I mean, it's probably, I'm assuming, because you said you looked up stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Is that more or less what?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay,
it's just, it's a dream. Yeah.
I feel kind of proud because I had to figure this shit out for myself way back then. It took like 10 viewings.
I mean, I wasn't going to go to sleep until I figured it out. I was just that, like,
Imagine how I felt. Like, I was like, well, I'm fucked. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
Go back to the theater the next day. It's like, I got to figure this the fuck out.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
If I had more time, I probably would have watched it a second time just to kind of, pick up a little bit more.
I'm glad you do want to watch it again, though, because I've showed it to a bunch of people, and they're like, I'm not watching that shit again. I don't know what the fuck I just watched.
It is a divisive movie.
It is.
Because I know people say, like, this is like the Lynch movie, right? If you're going to show somebody a Lynch movie, just show them Mulholland Drive.
It's a good start.
But, like, this is, like, in my opinion, easy to get into
It
Lynch
is.
movie. It's
Yeah.
not fucking Eraserhead. It's not
Yeah.
Lost Highway. I think Lost Highway is harder to watch than this.
Yeah, it is.
Fucking Inland Empire, impossible to watch.
Yeah, that's where you stop.
Yes.
If you made it through all the other stuff, you stop with
Inland Empire.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's one of those things where, like, people at the time really did think this movie, oh, masterpiece, this is Lynch's best work. And then there's a very loud and equal amount of people who say, no, he's a hack, and this is the most hacky thing he's ever made. And I mean, like, I'm looking at, like, the box office, looking at the Oscars and stuff like that, and okay. This movie cost $15 million to make. You know, it was a pilot. They had to turn it into a feature, like, halfway through, and, okay, $15 million, fine.
Yeah.
Makes $20 million at the box office. Financially, not super successful, but
Made its money back.
made its money back.
And a little some.
Now, I want you to take a shot in the dark, all right, if you know this or not. What did this get nominated for at the Oscars? Actors, directors, Best Picture, editing?
Just going off of my shitty memory, I only recall Lynch for Best Director.
Boo.
I was going to say writing.
Writing?
Screenplay.
You are correct. It is a Best Director nod, and that is it. There's no other
That's
Oscar.
it?
There's
Not even Naomi.
Right?
Wow.
Watching
Yeah.
this movie, I'm like, Naomi Watts should get an Oscar nod for this, right?
Yeah.
Now, for the director, he lost it out because, you know, Mulholland Drive, they're like, I don't know. And it was up against, you know, Fellowship of the Ring,
Ooh,
Peter
yeah.
Jackson. Also up against Godford Park, Robert Altman. Up against Black Hawk Down by Ridley
Whoa.
Scott. Now, those were all the nominations. You want to know what movie won Best Director? Also Best Picture that year for
It's
2000.
probably gonna see. I don't remember. It's probably gonna piss me off.
Oh, it's going to. The Oscars are your Super Bowl.
It is, and I'm trying to remember the Oscars from that year because I did watch them because I remember, you know, Peter Jackson and everything, but I don't remember if he took it.
That look. No, all the ones I listed, none of them won.
Oh, okay.
None of them won. The last one I'm going to name, that's going to be the winner.
Okay.
A Beautiful Mind, Ron Howard.
That was the same year?
Same
Whoa.
year. That look of utter disgust on Thomas's face is palatable.
Here's the thing. I like Ron Howard a lot, and Beautiful Mind. It's not my favorite of his.
Apollo 13 exists.
Apollo 13 exists. Willow exists.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I am glad I have found another person who loves Willow.
I recently showed it to my girlfriend for the first time. She never saw it. She's
Oh,
only
I
like
grew up
3
with
years
that
younger
movie.
than me. Like just
Willow fucking slaps. I
love Willow.
love that shit.
But just like I grew up on Willow, and she loved it. It just like I remember she said something. I know we're going off track. She was like, "This reminds me of Lord of the Rings." I'm like, "Beautiful." And pretty much everything is Lord of the Rings. Everything.
Yes.
So just we'll leave it there. But anyway, no. I'm not surprised because it's the Academy. I only follow the Oscars sometimes. I'm not all the time. There was only really one real time when a loss hurt the most, and that was when Social Network lost to the King's Speech.
Oh, King's Speech is I think everyone considers King's Speech a bad winner.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
I
I
motherfucking
liked the movie. I went to go see that
But
in the theater.
I'm like, what? Like, I'll never forgive. Out of all of them, for whatever reason, I mean, there's some bias. I'm a huge Fincher guy.
Mhm.
He's my all-time favorite director out of everyone. But yeah, I am a little annoyed, more than a little annoyed that Lynch didn't get the director.
I'm still wounded when they took the Best Picture from La La Land.
See, here's the thing. I never saw La La Land, believe it or not. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I need to. It's on my list. Don't
You
worry.
should watch it.
If you
definitely.
love old Hollywood and stuff, it's
which I do.
such a good nod.
Like, but yeah, that's why like I'm selectively into Oscars. It depends on the year. Sometimes I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm super invested. So it really depends. It's totally random. Like last year, I didn't. Most I'll do is, I'll check IMDb. Who won? Oh, cool. All right, I'm moving on. Like sometimes, most of the time lately, it's been that because it's like how I feel about like IMDb ratings. Like I don't fucking care anymore. Like I'm just gonna watch and judge for myself and talk to my friends about it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, but at the same time, whenever something does win that I feel deserves it, I'm super happy about it. Or
Like A Beautiful Mind totally deserved to win over Fellowship of the Ring. Totally deserved to win over that.
But I mean, the fact that he won for Return of the King a couple of years later, and it was meant, everyone at the time was like, I remember that. Everyone was like, it was kind of like the combination of all three. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I feel like eventually him winning and Fellowship winning was the win eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with Fellowship not winning that year. Beautiful Mind, again, I liked it a lot. I like Ron Howard, but especially for Mulholland Drive. If Mulholland Drive wasn't going to get Best Picture, which it wasn't even nominated, should have at least been nominated. Naomi definitely should have been nominated.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, that's one of those things where like it's like when horror doesn't get any nods. Rarely.
Thank you.
Just like
what was the year Get Out got nominated? 2016, I think. I thought that was going to win Best Picture. I thought Get Out was fantastic.
Yeah, so did I. It's not my favorite of his though.
Are you a Nope guy?
I am a Nope guy. Here,
I don't trust you anymore.
Here. I know we're straying off. There was
welcome to the podcast.
Yes, welcome to the Film Club.
Okay. Real quick about Nope. It was one of the press for Nope. I forgot who it was interviewing him, but he said, but the guy interviewing Peel said, I feel like this is your Jaws, and he loved it. Nope is his Jaws.
Okay, and I mean, I love Jaws, and anytime we could talk about Jaws on the podcast is a good day for me.
And I see it. I'm like, that's perfect.
I love Jordan Peele, honestly, because he is like really humble about like himself as a director. When people are like, dude, you're like the master of horror, and he's like, I will not take this John Carpenter sullying in front of me. And I'm like, I love that shit.
I mean, how many times did you see Get Out?
In the theater, twice. After that, I think I've seen it 3 times. I went to go see that in the theater because I was like, oh, it'll be like a fun like horror movie, and I watched it and I'm like,
way more than that.
So good. Such a good movie. Such a good movie.
How'd you feel about Us? I liked it. Not more than
I've only seen Us once, and I remember very little. It'd be a 50-50 review from it if I have to go off of memory, but I don't even remember half of it.
Mm-hmm. I think you gotta give Nope another chance. I think you need to rewatch it, especially now with the whole Jaws thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally Jaws.
We should watch Jaws too.
Yes,
Jaws.
Well, not Jaws 2, but Jaws as well.
I was crazy about all the Jawses when I was a kid, even the bad ones. I was crazy about them.
Okay, so we had Brandon, right? We had him on the podcast to do what was it?
Buck and the Preacher.
Buck and the Preacher. Sidney Poitier's first director film. Mm-hmm. Great movie, great episode. Yeah. Go listen to it. Send us money, send us gifts. And he revealed that he has never seen Jaws. Brandon's never seen Jaws. He's not a big Spielberg guy, for one, but he's never seen Jaws, and
he's missing out.
Becky almost killed him.
I'm excited. I'm like, can I show him Jaws? Like,
I mean, I think you're gonna have to force him to watch it, because I was wearing my Jaws socks that day. I was just like, what do you mean you've never seen Jaws? And he, not like, I just haven't gotten around to it. It's like, I don't want to. Like, no.
If it's playing at the Frida or somewhere, if you notice, it's playing at this. Okay, we got to get him. We gotta get him to go see Jaws.
My favorite time, because I saw Jaws, and it wasn't like at a theater. It was at like a movie on the beach experience. So it's
lucky.
So I'm in the sand, the water's coming up, and we're watching Jaws, right? And it's the middle of the fucking night, and I'm like, yeah, no, that tide's getting a little close right now. That great experience. But yeah, Jaws is one of those movies that just kind of slaps. And
Jaws is perfect. I'm going to use that word.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Jaws is a perfect movie.
Yes.
Yeah. People get really weird when we say something's a perfect movie, and I'm like, that doesn't mean it's like a greatest movie of all time, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect movie. It's like the same thing when I say about Silence of the Lambs. That's a perfect movie. Mulholland Drive, it's a Lynch movie. It's kind of perfect.
When I was rewatching it last night, I was literally thinking, I think this is a perfect movie. Watching Mulholland Drive again after countless times.
You watched it high this time. It really accentuated it.
Believe it or not, I did. I thought about doing that, but I'm like, I don't need to watch this one high, because it
does it for me.
I also learned that I can't watch new things high. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be sober. But if it's something I've seen already and I love and I'm familiar with, I can totally be high and enjoy it. Like when I saw Raiders, I took an edible.
You're like walking in. You're like, okay, if I drop this 500 milligram, it's gonna hit real hard
See,
during the
Oh
during the
man,
scene.
the boulder's coming right for me.
I'm a total lightweight. I didn't even need to. I love being a lightweight. I didn't need. It was like I think it was only like 6 or 7. It was like it's one of the gummy worms that I had to cut into pieces.
Are you sure that the screen was cropped like you were telling us?
No, I know. Here, I have proof because in the beginning, the credits, some of the names were cut off.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, and
But now that we have this new information,
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
No. Thankfully, yeah, I know for certain it was cropped because also my girlfriend and my friend they're like, huh, why is the credits? Oh, it's cropped. So I got up and I'm like, I've seen this movie. I know this movie like the back of my hand. I gotta say something. I don't know if they're gonna fix it. They never did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I do think going back to Mulholland Drive, I think it's perfect. Naomi should have gotten a nomination.
Yeah.
At least, because I'm still blown away by her performance to this day. She's one of the actresses that if I ever got lucky enough, I'd love to work with, just as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah.
I think everyone's like really good in this movie, and it's almost like it's a handicap. They're just acting weird in a Lynch movie, but then it's like no. They're really good actors who are acting a very specific style in this movie,
And more than one style, in Naomi's case especially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's subtle. It is like there's always something that bugged me. I stumble on them. You've probably seen them like on YouTube and social media where it's like greatest acting of all time. And it's always over the top shit. Like, and even performances that I love. Like they always show Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. I've abandoned my child. They always show that and they put overly dramatic music and everyone's screaming in these videos. It's always the actors or actresses screaming. And I'm like, that's fine, but good acting isn't just screaming. It's like, again, using Daniel Day-Lewis as a prime example here. I feel like his best performance in There Will Be Blood is actually after he, spoiler alert, is after he kills Henry.
Yeah.
And he's alone and he's going through his actual brother's journal.
Mm-hmm.
And just him reacting to that is my favorite scene. It's subtle, like just how he's processing those, because we haven't seen him like that before. And with Naomi and Mulholland Drive, it's the same thing. Yeah, the over-the-top stuff is great. Don't get me wrong. But like you mentioned, the audition scene, it's subtle. And especially in the later on, near the end of the film, at the party, her little, like, when an actress is trying not to cry, I feel like that's harder to pull off than just crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, she cries, she gets a tear, but she's trying with every fiber to just hold it in. But
you can see the rage.
She's getting fucking bombarded by first, like she's there already.
Yeah.
She's already emotional from being just just going. I would have like not wanted to go to begin with, but you're in love with this person. You want to go, but you also don't want to go. She's late. Like she's carried up. It's already intimate. Like,
yeah.
Like Kamala comes up to her and is like, come here. Like she grabs her hand.
I think that's such a strong scene when, because you're thinking, oh, she's going to get it. Like
she's going to get what she wanted. Like, oh, I love you. But nope. And we're up at.
Oh, I think, were you alluding that she's going to get it like how Rita almost got in the beginning where they're going to ghost her?
Yeah, I thought they were going to, they're getting out of the car to shoot her.
Oh, that's what you thought. Oh.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, we're flipping it. So she's kind of, having the same experience. And then you see Rita or whatever her name is, Camilla in the other world, coming down the mountain to her. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is very picturesque, romantic. And then it's like, no, here you go. You're at our basically our engagement party.
Yeah, it's just like, and she just,
yeah,
I feel so bad.
Rip your heart out.
Just like, oh, I'm going to rip your heart out. Oh, I'm going to peel your heart in front of you. Oh, and also this, and it's just more. And the only one that's genuinely kind to her is Coco.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like she's like one of the few characters in her dream that's also nice to her, because that one, like, I feel like Lynch shows this the little, she grabs her hand and she just like, it's okay, like little bit of comfort.
Yeah. Coco is like, I think she's the only one for one, like in terms of like how they act in the like last 30 minutes, like the reality sequence, quote unquote, versus the dream sequence. She's the only one that's a real one for one in terms of tone, how she acts, how she speaks. And like the actress playing Coco, she was like a golden age actress, right? Like she was like a real star of that era.
I believe so. Her name's Ann Miller.
Ann Miller, and she is one of those actresses where I feel like, in terms of that representation, right? She is like a real golden age actress, and she's like accepting Betty in like into the fold, being like, "Welcome to Hollywood, honey. Don't worry, you're under the wing of Coco. Coco's gonna take care of you. Have you seen my movie? Have you seen Coco? It makes you cry at the end."
It does. Coco just destroys me every time.
and it's a thing where like every character has this double interpretation to them, and her across both ends almost is the same thing. She's this very comforting, like classical thing. It's like she's Casablanca. She's that old movie you can always go back to that's comforting, that makes you like, man, Hollywood can be so fucking nice, in my dreams when it wants to be.
The only difference with Coco in both dream and reality is the fact in her dream she has no relation to her son whatsoever. She's just the landlady, and she's super sweet. She's supportive. She's understanding. She gives good advice. She's not overbearing. She's like, I know there's this woman in your thing. Like, just okay. If there's trouble, get rid of it. Like, just. But you're
she is the landlady America needs. God damn it.
Yeah, just like my landlady. I love my landlady's great. But
just in case she's listening to this,
in case she's listening,
don't kick him out, please.
But no, she's the only one that is consistent. She's the comforting part that's in her dream and in reality, even if it's that one moment. Obviously it's the last time she sees it, first and last time she sees her, but just that party, that engagement party scene is brutal, because again, I can relate. I've been in situations like that. You're just seething with heartache and pain and rage, and but you're surrounded by people, and you're just trying to keep it together, and that jolt of that I mean, I say crash because that's what Lynch did on set. Like, he's directing her, and they're doing, if you ever get a chance to watch it, if you haven't, he didn't tell her when he was going to do that. He just says crash on his megaphone. So, and she does that turn. I think that was the last scene that she saw. I think, because I remember, like, I could be wrong. I think, okay, that's a wrap on Naomi, which is a hard scene to end on. I feel.
Yeah.
So if I'm right, but no, and then just fuck me.
This movie, this scene's starting to hit. Isn't it?
I mean, it always, again, like watching it last night. I'm like, this is shit. Like, this is bringing back some shit. Well,
that scene, it's so like, okay, this movie is not a very I can relate to it because I was that small town girl that went to Hollywood. But that scene is like, no, it's like just straight up. Yeah, no, we've all been like at that awkward situation at the party that just feels weird. And I think that's the thing that Lynch is really good at in a lot of his stuff, where he's like, there's these moments that are just like really human in his work. Like Elephant Man, for example, is just humanism, like human soul just being torn out this whole time. With Eraserhead, it's like that. Okay, Eraserhead's weird as shit, but at the heart of it, it's like
at the heart of it,
it's fear of fatherhood. You know, it's like really humanistic, emotional stuff. In Mulholland Drive, this scene is him being like, we've all been in that situation where like the woman or the guy, gal, whatever,
the person in your life
that's just like, you're a good lay, but
I met a director and this other woman. Who the hell's this?
Yeah.
Why are you making out with her? Like,
we're in this really cool like polyamorous thing, It's nice, But yeah, like that's like the real key to Mulholland Drive is when it's like gets really human.
Yeah. Key haha.
Key haha. Yeah. We should probably talk about what the fuck is the key? What the fuck's Silencio, honestly?
I mean, I saw the blue key and I'm like, is that the key to the TARDIS? I'm like, are we gonna go into Doctor Who next? I'm like, this is awesome.
It does open up a box. It does open up a blue box.
It's bigger on the inside.
So talking about the blue box. Oh, look, it's 2:22.
Oh,
That's 3 today. I woke up and I saw 10:10.
Thomas is convinced God is talking to him through numbers. He's not
it's
crazy.
something or someone or whatever.
I freaked out when I was watching the movie because when they're going to the apartments to figure out who Rita is.
Mm-hmm.
It's apartment 12, and they tell her, she moved over to 17.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my birthday numbers. Oh. And I was like, no. I'm like, no. Like,
you're like really afraid Naomi Watts and Rita are just about to appear into your room, being like,
no, the
hello.
old people.
I was gonna say the old people.
The old people.
Really afraid of.
Yes.
Oh.
Like, this can't be happening. So thank you, Thomas. I'm not the only one that know that picks up on the time. I'm
the
like,
universe
that's
is
weird.
speaking.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yes, the blue box.
Yes.
Because that is I think when Lynch is like, I gotta turn this into a feature, he's like, we're getting weird, boys. Get me the blue box. Props, blue box. And that, like, what is with that with the blue key? Because the blue key in like the reality thing is the hitman's like, when you see this,
The job's done.
The job's done. That's the signal, all right? And she's like, what's it open? And the hitman just starts laughing and ha 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 ha. And it for a long time where I'm like, he's had to stop to take like 2 breaths during that laugh. That was going on for a while.
Yeah.
I would feel very annoyed if somebody just kept laughing for 5 uninterrupted minutes in front of me. But the blue box. What is the blue box? Thomas, you've been there.
Yes. So, and I only thought of this last night while watching it. Like you said, this is one of the films, every time you watch it, you catch something new. So and this is just me, and I'm going to do my darndest to describe this, because it's a raw dream related emotion. Mm-hmm. Being one of those people that remembers all my dreams. So I use the terms nightmare and scary dream differently. For me, a nightmare has always been something emotional. Mm-hmm. Like, reliving a heartbreak or trauma or whatever. A scary dream is, oh, there's a ghost here and it scares me awake. Yeah. Scary dreams I could do just fine, but the nightmares I have a hard time with. Now, scary dream is where the blue box comes in. Because the blue box, when she opens the box, which I also realize how seamless Betty disappears. Yeah. After she puts the purse down. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, I stopped and I rewound it. Like, it's obvious on set she just kept walking that way.
Yeah.
She just walked behind the camera.
You don't, at first I was like, wait, where'd she go? Mm-hmm. Like, I had to, I stopped it and I rewatched, oh, she went that way. But it's really seamless. Like, oh, she literally disappeared.
And the performance of the actress playing Rita sells it.
Yeah, absolutely. She's like, wait, you were just here. Like, mm-hmm. At first I thought she went this way, but no, she went at first this way. At first I thought she went to the left, mm-hmm. but no, she went to the right on set. Mm-hmm. But it's so seamless. But everything changes. She's essentially opening the box is what gets Diane to start waking up.
Yeah.
So in my scary dreams, going back to being a kid, anytime in my dreams when I try confronting directly whatever it is scary that's happening is when it's too much and I always wake up. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a direct example. So there's always been a character in my dreams that's a hooded figure. And when I say hooded, I mean like a pullover sweater with the hood on. Okay. And it's always been more implied. But like I've had reoccurring dreams. I've had one at my old place where there's someone's knocking at the door. And I know this presence is on the other side. You could feel that extreme, if you felt this in your scary dreams, extreme dread. Like overwhelming dread. Unknown, whatever you want to call it. And as those dreams have progressed, I have wanted to, in dream, confront whatever this presence is. Mm-hmm. In that dream in particular, I open the door and I feel it start to come in, and that dread gets overwhelming, and then I wake up. Mm-hmm. And again, I had another dream, a kind of a follow-up. I'm at my grandma's old house for some reason in TJ, mm-hmm. and the figure is there. Whatever is just standing there, can't see its face. And I remember this last time he showed up in my dreams. Knock on wood.
Thomas is freaking himself out.
Yeah,
We're talking Mulholland Drive real quick.
So, and I remember in the dream I had enough guts to do this. I reached out.
Wow.
And that dread came back, and I woke up. So watching this last night. We go into the box, we open it. That is that confronting whatever that darkness is, and it's too much, and it starts to jolt you awake.
Yeah.
As we know, time is perceived differently when we're dreaming, so it takes a little bit. We get her aunt coming in, checking the room. The box is gone. It's a different setup. We see her future corpse. We see her. The cowboy wakes her up. All the above, and she starts to wake up. So that's what I feel that the blue box is. Obviously, in reality, the key is just a normal looking key.
It's not this weird triangle thing.
It's not this weird triangle thing. Wait, I've tried to find replicas of that, by the way, just to have it.
Well, when I saw the weird triangle thing, it reminded me of Man of Steel, the thing that they put into to the
that's
ship.
right.
That's
Zack Snyder, Man of Class.
That sounds like, wait, is that the same thing? I'm like, oh no, well, it's a key.
Yeah, it's just a key. It's just it has a little moon on it,
No. Rita is a Kryptonian. That's his signal. That's it. Zack Snyder.
Superwoman.
Exactly. Zack Snyder, confirmed fan of Mulholland Drive. Confirmed.
So does that make the box an alarm clock?
Oh, like it's a wind-up alarm clock? Because that key looks like a thing you're winding.
Yeah, she does have to give it a few turns. It could be.
Actually, because that's interesting, because that's not, like, when we see, the first time we see it is in Club Silencio, but the last time we see it is with the homeless figure monster person.
Who is the nun from the Nun movies.
We saw her once. We
saw her at the Frida.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we bumped into her at the Frida, which is cool.
My girlfriend is terrified of the Nun.
Oh yeah, I won't watch it.
See, it's funny because I like those movies, but they don't scare me.
They're well made. They're
great.
They're well made fun horror movies.
Yeah.
But the last time we see it is she's holding that box, and it's like, if that's like the alarm clock, then it's like, like she's holding the alarm clock and she's the monster. Like, she is like literally the beaten down dregs. This is like the broken dream of Hollywood, right? The worst of Hollywood. And she's holding it, and she's like, when you wake up, I'm here. Like, I'm the real thing you got to be scared of. Like, the monster homeless person is symbolic in the dream of being, I'm what happens to you when you fail here. And when you wake up, you're going to have to confront that, of the failure of Hollywood, of the failure of your dreams. And I'm like,
the failure of your love.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she's holding that alarm clock. If we call it an alarm clock, that's fascinating. I think that's interesting. Yes. The blue box.
The blue box.
That tinfoil hat is so secure on your head right now.
I love my tinfoil hat.
That's the best shit. It's the tinfoil hat stuff. But no, I feel like that's what the blue box is. It's opening what you almost can't directly confront. But then the homeless, the homeless man at the end has possession of it, drops it, and the old couple comes out. More shit that you can't directly confront. And what happens? She's directly confronted with it,
and she can't handle it.
And she can't handle it, so she ends her life. Yeah, that's, again, I never thought of what the box was until literally last night. Like, especially how it coincides with her waking up. I'm like, this is again the dream me reaching out toward that figure, and it's just too much. No matter how brave I feel in the dream, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna confront this. Nope, you can't. You're not supposed to.
You're not ready.
You're not. You can look at it maybe from a distance, but you can't. If you do, it's too much. So what happens in real life, it has to end. Yeah. So overwhelming guilt and pain and heartbreak and
sad boys. But they find the box at Club Silencio, which pretty sick club with a horrible act, because it's just recordings and people lip syncing. But it's the singing's pretty good.
It's very dreamlike.
It's a clue. This isn't real. Also, like, again, another thing I caught up, like the fake thunder, like her jolting. That's like when you're asleep and there's an earthquake. And no, there's an earthquake in the dream now. I feel like, for all we know, she's taking the snap sleeping, and there was probably a storm outside. Yeah. And it's affecting her in the dream.
Yeah, It's like when you sleep and you have the TV on, and then you could hear
And
the
it's-
TV in your dreams. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, Becky, because I don't speak any Spanish, and I don't believe Thomas speaks any. What is she singing? Because it sounds very beautiful and heartbreaking.
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
I did look it up because I never looked it up.
But it's like, she says cry
Yeah.
a lot, so
Yeah.
it's just
The song is essentially, in a nutshell, pretty similar to what Diane's going through. Like, it's her crying out to someone that she was in love with,
Mhm.
but that person doesn't feel that way anymore.
Mhm.
It's like, no, I'm okay,
Mhm.
but I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're moved on. You found you found someone else. You moved on, but I totally haven't. Even though I'm trying to fool myself, and
Yeah.
I think I have, and you're just leaving me crying all the time.
Mhm.
It's like the title translated as crying.
That's why as soon as she started to sing, I'm like, oh God, Dean's gonna ask me to, interpret the song for him.
I mean,
When you could just pull up the lyrics and, read it for yourself.
it's
Yeah.
not nearly as fun.
Well, I don't want to do it.
Ah, damn it.
But that's why I'm like, I'm gonna make a mental note that most of it is, crying.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Yeah.
And it's like this Club Silencio, because this is where she gets the box. This is, I think, and the singer, she collapses and all this stuff. This is like this is when the dream starts kind of breaking apart.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, is this the grown up lady of Fire Walk with Me, where my sisters, girls, whatever, and she's got the blue
Oh.
hair and the
It's my father's sister's girl.
with
Yeah.
the blue rose. I'm like, is that her? Are we, is this her in the future?
Well, I mean, there is that lady up in the balcony with the weird blue hair thing or whatever, and I'm like, I think that's the same actress from Fire Walk with Me.
I think it is.
Yeah, and I'm looking, and she's kind of looking the same way, and then she has the last line of the movie, Silencio. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. Everyone, please. Silencio. Thank you. That's strong stuff. Put on the ringtone. But it's really weird because she's saying Silencio. I'm assuming that means silence, and it's like
You're good.
I'm picking this up, and I'm trying to figure out, like, why is it that she gets the last line? Why is this person, this figure, get the last line? Is she representative of something? Because I think she only exists in the dream world. She doesn't exist in like the last 30 real world minutes, or
No, she doesn't.
like what is she?
I mean, is it Diane, Betty, finally, she's getting her peace, everything's silenced now. It's not the craziness of I wasn't the starlet that I wanted to be. I didn't have the great love that I thought I had. It's just kind of this level field where it's peaceful now. It's over, it's done.
It could be.
The dream has come to an end, and this is
The dream, the nightmare has come to an end.
Also, considering what we see before the stage and then her,
Mhm.
we see Betty pretty much all happy.
Mhm.
So with the Los Angeles background, the
Yeah.
dream Los Angeles anyway. So maybe she'll be permanently, so to speak, in the dream version that she wanted. So before things start falling apart at Club Silencio, which another thing, yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, that's when the dream starts to collapse, essentially, because Cookie shows up,
Yeah.
the hotel, the hotel manager in the dream, like, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where I look at it and it's like, this is because Club Silencio is the first time we're like, okay, out of nowhere we're just gonna do some weird shit,
yeah.
and that has to be where it's like the dream is like completely starts breaking and falling and not structuring anymore, because talking about dreams, I don't have like normal dream, because I'm a lucid dreamer. Like I've never had a dream where I didn't know it was a dream.
I envy you.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell him like some of these horrible dreams that I have, and he's like, well, boo, why don't you just do what I do? I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I just fly away. He's like, I'll have any obstacle and I'll just take off
Yeah.
flying.
I've had two dreams like that when I realized it was a dream and I started to take control.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great.
but I'm like the opposite. I've only ever had two dreams where I'm like, is this a dream or am I don't know. But yeah, most of the time I'm fully conscious of dreams, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes your brain is like doing things and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go away from like the set, right, that this is taking place in, and it starts like breaking down, like signs don't look right, buildings stop looking normal.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, this is scary. It's like, oh, I guess my brain can't like my brain's an old PS1 and it can't render past the draw distance. And I'm like, oh yeah, this
it's
is
all
just
low res.
It's all it's all low res. So
well,
I'm
at
all
least it's a
pixelated.
PS1 and not like a Dreamcast or something.
Oh,
boy.
okay. If I was having like an N64 style dream, I'd be like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
This is over. I can't handle this.
But it would be playing like the GoldenEye theme over and over.
Just on loop.
Yeah.
I've had that before where I've had like a weird dream and I'm like, I'm gonna be James Bond, and I look down, got the suit on, and then I'm like, doo 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 doo. Yeah, no, I've weird dreams because always lucid.
I envy you.
I know, but that's one of those things where I'm like, it's like she's built up this construct, this dream, this Hollywood idealized, and Club Silencio was like, well, that's beyond the draw distance.
Yeah.
Like that's something that her mind is like, I can't process this because I don't really know what it is, and it's just kind of making it up.
Even down to how when they pull up to it on the outside, like how the cinematography works, like
The Raimi cam.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's someone like sitting down, and they stand up, and then they start floating over to the door. I love the little Lynchian quote unquote movements that he does, especially then. Even going to another scene later, in reality when she's angrily masturbating.
Just ragefully masturbating. It's not angry, rage-filled masturbation.
Rage-filled. But just those POV shots mixed with the sound design of that rumble that we all hear when I don't know how to describe it. At least I hear it.
That jerk off rage.
No,
being
I
like,
mean-
I'm like almost there, and the world's rumbling.
No. I'm referring to
when your bones start rattling mid-strokes.
Oh my god, what are we doing?
What are we talking about?
I'm referring to when you're kind of crying and you wince or something, and you hear that deep rumble in your head, and it's mimicked perfectly, down to the blurry and the shakiness of that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of took that with like I think only one time in my life where I've lost somebody, where I've wept, and your body's like actually shaking and reacting. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting, where it's like, that could be, something that's just deep and, visceral in her, but also like an earthquake, it's just her world's crumbling apart. Not, aggressively masturbating like Dean is, describing.
I'm just saying, you said rumble. I mean, it could be she's really rocking her world. All right, that's what I'm assuming here.
I don't.
Yours is far more poetic.
I don't think she's enjoying what she's doing.
No. That is a victory lap right there. She's like, yeah, I fucking got you, and that's her victory lap. She found the blue key. She found the Cialis there. She knew what was up.
Oh my god.
But yeah. Come on, you got to make light of these dark movies here, people. But fucking Mulholland Drive is a great movie, and I wanted to throw this out there. Sight and Sound has also acknowledged Mulholland Drive is a great movie. It is number 8 on the Sight and Sound BFI Top 100 list. A movie with rage-filled masturbation. Number 8 on that list.
That's the only thing he focused in on.
I mean, hey, it's pretty funny. That was my segue there.
I mean, also a little fun fact. It's one of my favorite film scores of all time, believe it or not. So much that I'm gonna show off here a little bit. In my
We're about to get copyright striked.
No, I'm not gonna look. I've always had it in my iPod or phone.
Shit.
And you can't. I mean, I've checked. I'm like, oh, can you I don't think I checked on Apple Music. It's not there.
I have Apple Music.
I don't have Spotify, but I didn't check it. I don't know if it's on there or not. So yeah, I bought the CD, the soundtrack forever ago. So this is proudly from my original CD rip.
That is cool.
That I've always had on my phone, along with other things. But
that's one of those
love
things.
The soundtrack.
Apple is like, God damn it, he's beating the curve.
Yeah.
He's grandfathered in.
It's in my phone.
Yeah, no score. Lots of songs named after Mulholland Drive.
Yeah,
ridiculous
and
amount.
Looking it up, but no score for some reason. You got to buy it and physical. You got to buy the copy and put it on your phone. Or
All right. Well, we're getting a little close to the end here, but before we go, I wanted to round something out here because this is part of the Lynchian LA trilogy. With the Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, that LA Hollywood trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there is because I don't think he's ever confirmed it. It's just people who watch it are like, oh, these all take place L.A., Hollywood, whatever. Do you think there is actually some thematic arc between the three movies? Do you think Mulholland Drive is actually part of some sort of wider scope of Lynch's career kind of thing? Like, is this his like, all right, I have achieved my masterhood status, and this is my masterpiece, and goodbye, everyone? Because this is like his last like real movie. After this is Inland Empire, which is more of like an experiment.
Yeah. I mean, the only connection I see is obvious is between, this and Inland Empire is that at the end of Inland Empire, Camilla shows up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But for all we know, knowing Lynch, she would just happen to be local. Hey, you want to be here and throw people off? Oh, Camilla's there.
I mean, Terry Crews is in the movie.
Yeah. So just like, I never saw them outside of being all three of them in Los Angeles. I never saw them as being directly, intentionally connected. Mm-hmm. I do know that Lynch loves LA. Like, I always felt like David Lynch is Los Angeles and Scorsese is New York. Like, that's always what I always felt. So, I mean, intentionally, I don't think so. But I can understand, like, oh, this is like his Los Angeles trilogy, so to speak.
They all have that kind of dream quality-esque aesthetic to it.
But this is definitely the poisonous love letter to Hollywood and Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if this is one of those movies where, because I know Lynch, he's ostensibly retired from directing, like, feature films.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this is one of those things where Hollywood's like, Lynch, you talked a lot of shit about the business, all right? Welcome to the blacklist.
I don't know. I feel like Lynch, I don't know. I mean, I feel like because he's so symbolic about it, I don't think he's blacklisted personally. I think he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do.
I mean, I'm obviously I'm not saying he's on a list somewhere. It's one of those things
we did just talk about him in The Fabelmans, a movie that came out last year. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, the power of Spielberg can bring anybody's career back from the dead.
But yeah, I don't think he's blacklisted.
Oh, I don't think so either. It's more like a thing where the movie is very like, I almost feel like it's one of those things where it's a middle finger to like the LA Hollywood culture of being like, you take these people and spit them out, right?
It's funny because like it's his most like Hollywoody film too. Like all these stars are in it. They just show up. Like what? Like why? It feels high class Hollywoody to me, like compared to everything else that he's made. I mean, for me personally, because like just the way it feels, it just feels. Have recently, which I'll talk to you guys after this, having recently had a taste of what that feels like in real life, not a few weeks ago, it feels Hollywoody, like stereotypical Hollywoody. Yeah, it's so odd, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were some execs out there that at the time they were rubbed the wrong way, especially like for, in making of it, like we don't really know exactly what this is, but go ahead. And afterwards, like any of them that were able to analyze it, like, oh, this is like a jab at us. But at the same time, it's so symbolic and a little over the top that I feel like they're like, and he's had so much notoriety of being the weird one out. They just kind of let him do whatever he wants. I mean, yeah, he got to however, like forever time passed until he got to finish his Twin Peaks more or less story. Like it just took him a long time. He was like, yeah, I'm ready now.
Mm-hmm.
I want there to be a Twin Peaks season 4
Me too.
So badly.
It'd be nice.
But I know so many of like the cast has passed away and like so much of like time has passed since it came out where I'm like,
I don't care.
David, you got it. Come on, David. Come on, David. Stop slow rolling me here. I want to finish the Laura Palmer story.
I need closure.
Yeah, but as we
closure in a Lynch film?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know, and that's what drives me crazy about his work is that I want closure and I don't get it.
It's. I feel there is closure in there. It's just so fucking vague and
not
symbolic.
After the return.
Okay, not after the return. Okay, the return's a whole other can of worms we'll get into. But man.
And season 2.
And. I liked season 2. I'm like the only person I know that liked season 2.
I liked it.
I like season 1, but that's again like this movie. I like the first half of the movie, and then we get to the second half, and it's like shit.
You like Lynch when he's coherent?
Yes.
I mean, I understand that, but being a very long Lynch fan, and also considering what, like I said earlier, what he said, like he doesn't feel like films need to necessarily make sense.
Mhm.
I would just accept that. I'm like, it's all up to us.
Yeah.
He's
Pretty much.
more interested in mood, tone, atmosphere, and ideas than he
Yeah.
is in narratives and plots and things like that.
And when he does coherent narratives, we know he's more than capable.
Yeah. Oh, Elephant Man is like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
That's just a fucking period drama.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you, Mel Brooks, for giving us Elephant Man.
Which, a fun fact
Okay.
about Elephant Man. I'm not sure if you read or know of David Lynch's kind of little. He wrote a book years ago, which is like his kind of sort of autobiography, sort of, and he did his own ebook reading of it, and there's a little tidbit where he talks about Stanley Kubrick and how he talks about Stanley as one of his favorite directors, yada yada. He talks about who
David
would've
Lynch
thunk, huh?
likes Kubrick.
Yeah.
No
So
shit.
he said that Lolita is his favorite Kubrick film.
Oh, that is a take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said Lolita was his favorite, but he said when he was I think he said when he was starting production on Elephant Man, he had a mutual friend who was a producer who knew Kubrick, who met with Kubrick, who went to Lynch, told him this thing that Kubrick did. He said to him, Kubrick said to the mutual friend, saying, "How would you guys like to come over to my place and watch my favorite film?" And they said, "That sounds great. Like, of course, I'm going to go to Stanley Kubrick to watch favorite film." And he showed them Eraserhead.
Wow.
And I think Lynch said, "I could have died right there."
Could you imagine, like in your case, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna meet David Fincher, and David Fincher's like, "Hey, you want to come over? We're gonna watch a movie," and he watches one of your movies.
And
With
just
that-
like, what do you do?
Dean would die if Kubrick invited him over and was like, you know what, we're gonna watch Vermin.
Oh, boo. Okay. If Ansel Adams, was like,
He's
would
not
you like
my favorite. I mean, I love Ansel Adams, but he's not
what
my
is it?
favorite photographer.
Is it, Annie Leibovitz?
No,
Oh, fuck.
I mean she's great too.
I could probably name like the 4 out of your
Henri
top 5.
Cartier-Bresson.
Oh, great! By the way, great choice.
Thank you.
If he was like, I have this book of stills that I would love for you to see, and it was your book of stills, would that just be like, all right, I'm gonna hang up the camera. It's over. I'm done.
I'd be bullshit. You're pulling my leg, my stills.
What's
Come
wrong with
on.
you?
Could you imagine Kubrick's like, I didn't really like dig Eraserhead, but I just wanted to be nice to the guy. Would that just
Well,
crush David Lynch's soul?
Well, because Lynch wasn't there, here just from his mutual friend, but just like I still I smile whenever I hear that, just hearing him. I mean, yeah, it's Kubrick, but no, I love that little tale. Just like, yeah, it's my favorite film, Eraserhead. His first.
Yeah.
Took him years to make. Just
That the movie goes from being like. It goes from being like really well-made production stuff to super weird, surreal junk, and Eraserhead's a wild movie. I like Eraserhead.
I love Eraserhead.
I watched it like a month ago. We should watch it again. We'll do it again for the podcast.
I'm good.
Round it back around.
I'm
You're
alright.
Not
All right.
easy to watch, but I get it.
But with that, do we have any final thoughts on Mulholland Drive?
Again, one of my all-time favorites. A little while ago, I listed it in my 10 reasons for wanting to be a filmmaker, even before I even realized it. I'm a late bloomer in that regard. I'm 41 now. That didn't start clicking until I was in my late 30s. Versus everyone else I know, I was like, yeah, I was 8 when I knew I wanted to make films.
Spielberg.
Yeah, just like, thinking about it now, I'm like, it was always there.
Yeah.
But it didn't start clicking until 2007.
That conscious thing of being like
just
you should do it.
This feels like something I should be doing. But I didn't start doing it in practice until 2017. Well, technically 2012, but then here and there. But and thinking about wanting to be a filmmaker, this is definitely on that list for sure. Like, I think it's perfect. I think it gets better with every viewing. Again, I'm happy you want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was your first viewing of it. Again, I envy you. It's one of those films, whatever, that I wish I could go back and watch for the first time again.
I mean, this month, apart from our bonus episode that we're going to plug, is all entirely new movies to me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Your final thought on Mulholland Drive?
Please.
I'm not going to rate it because I need to watch it a few more times to figure it out.
fair.
So my thumbs are still very confused, so I can't, give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. But yeah, it was really interesting. I kind of like when movies piss me off because, then I really want to, get in.
You want to explore it some more.
Yeah, I want to figure it out. So yeah, definitely an interesting pick, and I'll go back to it.
As a first-time viewer, would you recommend this to people in the blind? Is there a type of person?
Yeah, I mean, definitely film people. I mean, the same thing with like Stalker, where I'm like, there's a niche kind of, core audience for this. I feel like this is the same way. It's got to be film people that are interested in, film studies. And yeah, because it's a weird movie, but it makes sense. Then kind of doesn't make sense. It's a little all over the place, but yeah, I think that there's a good audience out there for it. And I mean, I went in totally blind. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't look up anything. I mean, just from the pictures that I saw looking, where I could stream the movie, I thought Catherine Zeta-Jones was in the movie because they look so similar.
She looks so close.
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of thrown. I'm like, well, who is she? And I'm like, well, that kind of works because who is she?
Yeah.
She looks like a movie star.
She looks like a movie star, but she has amnesia. So it's like, well, really, who are you?
Yeah.
Again, Mulholland Drive, I've seen this like 4 or 5 times, whatnot. And every time... I've seen this now 4 times. And when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, this is like a 2 movie. Second time, okay, this is like a 3 movie. Third, 4 time, okay, it's this movie. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a 5-star movie. This movie's great. Like, I thought
you were going to bring up the 2001 story. I'm like,
no. Yes. So you're going to love this. So there's a 2001 story I love telling. So Becky.
It's okay. I have a Tom Holland story that I'm going to tell Thomas at lunch.
Sure. So me and Becky were going to go see 2001: A Space Odyssey in theaters, right? It's at Santa Monica.
I'm sorry in advance, everyone.
35 millimeter print, like real film print,
I want to hear this.
And she had never seen it before, right?
No, it's my first time watching it.
2001: A Space Odyssey, one of my favorite movies ever made. It's probably my favorite Kubrick.
We went to go see it at the Arrow Theater, so
nice.
this was before they renovated it, so it's traditional auditorium.
Okay.
So we sit down, and we're watching it.
And it's a packed house.
Packed house, wall to wall here. And Becky gets very like emotionally invested in movies. Like she doesn't like watch movies, she feels movies, right? And it's a thing where it's like, I wish I can do that because I get really intellectual watching movies. You like feel it, right? And we're watching it, and it's the part where he's going through the wormhole, right? Going through, and it's the lights and everything.
The Stargate sequence.
The Stargates. Boo, what happened?
I had a panic attack because I felt like
I
felt like the room was closing in. It's just there's no
totally
sound.
So I know later on at some point I would like to discuss 2001 with you guys because it's one of my favorites, and I saw it later on in life.
We have some plans. So.
I saw it in
Don't
2017, so I was an adult when I saw it, and I had a similar experience. It was a spiritual experience for me personally. I get it. And you're not alone on this.
I'm so happy because I felt ridiculous having a panic attack in the theater.
It makes perfect sense.
And then, we get out and Dean's like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I kind of had a panic. He goes, you're so fucking lucky. I wish I could have done that. And I was like, no.
It's one of those things where you watch it like, it's boring, it's this and that. And I'm like, but it affected you so profoundly. Like it got like that reaction out of you. Like that's like the magic of that movie. Like we finished it and I'm like, are they doing another screening? Like I'll run this fucker back right now.
Yeah.
They were doing they were doing like a midnight screen. I'm like, no, I already had a panic attack. I want to go home.
Or when he's like goes out through the airlock and the sound cuts out and you actually just stopped breathing during that section, and I was like, I fucking wish I could do that. Like,
I wish I saw it in theaters. I just saw it at home for the first time.
It was our anniversary, so I'm like, oh, he loves this movie. He talks about Stanley Kubrick. I'm like, I'll get us the tickets and we'll go. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting to have a panic attack on our anniversary, but okay, whatever. And he's just like, that's so badass. Tell me everything you felt. I'm like, no, it was just like...
I loved hearing it. I'm like, holy shit. Like, just a little spoiler for when we do talk about it.
Yes.
I'll leave it at this. My first time watching 2001, at the end, I'm not kidding, no hyperbole whatsoever. I was sobbing uncontrollably of what I just
Really?
experienced. It was a spiritual experience for me. And it still stays with me. So the panic attack thing, I mean, it was a mixture of things,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was we'll talk in detail later on down the line.
Definitely.
But yes, that was my experience. I envy you guys for seeing it in theaters for the first time. I didn't. I just watched it on my computer with headphones at 2 a.m.
The way Kubrick intended.
Yeah.
On an IBM.
Yeah.
But next week, we're going to be talking about something completely different.
We're jumping into October. New month, new theme, and it's going to be all horror comedies.
Yes.
Curated by me. Finally.
Yes. What do you know what the first movie of our horror comedy month will be?
It is. It's a movie that's near and dear to my heart. It's a brand new movie to Dean. It's not a new movie. It's a very, very old movie. We're talking about Arsenic and Old Lace, starring Cary Grant.
Your idealistic man.
He is a dreamboat.
But if
I
you
understand.
But if you wanted to listen to that, where can they go?
If you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube. You can like, comment, and subscribe. When Dean finally remembers to upload the slideshow video version of this podcast, whenever that is. But if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to
The Film Club Podcast on Instagram, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, and random adventures we go on.
But if you would like to follow our guest, I speak English. Thomas, where can they go to follow you?
Oh shit.
What are you up to? What's going on? What's your favorite movie?
If you want to plug anything.
I mean, as of right now, I just have my personal Instagram. It's weird. It's cryptic. It can be moody. If that's not your thing, I get it.
There's also Disney.
There's also Disney. I'm a Disneyland dork, and I'll be getting my pass soon, so there'll be plenty of posts from there. I'm a photographer, cinematographer, filmmaker, yada yada. Have a couple of things working in the background for a while, as you know. Eventually, I'll be sharing that. So it's on Instagram. It's alternate, but alt is split up by a period, so it's alt.ernate. Again, look for the moody shit. I haven't deleted a single thing, so if you dig deep enough, you'll see my moody younger self going way back to 2010. That's it. I would like, if it's okay, to share one more little fun fact Mulholland Drive related.
Welcome to the podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
It's when Naomi was on Inside the Actors Studio. Don't know how long ago, a while ago, and they talked about the masturbation scene. And
she's just
yeah,
rattled.
I was gonna say yeah, because you mentioned it, I'm like, and it was them talking about going through that scene, and it was Naomi saying how hard that was for her, and she I'm gonna try from memory. I tried finding it on YouTube. I can't find it anywhere. So this is all memory. She was like it was hard, obviously, emotionally, and physically, and she was just like she was pissed off at David. She was like, "Fuck you, David.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't do this." And then she goes, and David goes, "Okay, Naomi. Okay, okay, Naomi." She did her Lynch impression. That's it.
I mean, I read somewhere about that where she was just like, obviously embarrassed because
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people in the room that are, working the scene, where they basically put like a makeshift tent over her head so she didn't have to look at anybody.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
That would make it more weird.
Yeah.
She's like, you mean no one's going to see what I don't get to see what people are staring at? But with that, we'll see you next week at no, wait, you say that.
I do,
But with that,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
have a good week, everybody.
Ta.